Old Soul is made at Mississippi's first legal distillery post-prohibition. And they have a variety of products. But are they good? If you want to find out, then stick around. All right, pretty girl, we have added a new segment to our reviews, and we are going to make sure that we always disclose the source of our bottles, because some people believe that we can be bought with free whiskey. And we must disclose that this whiskey we did not buy.
But we bought it ourselves and liked it, so.
Well, we have examples of these bottles that we had already purchased, but the bottles for this particular review were given to us as media bottles by the distillery. But I can assure you that I say no to more media samples than I say yes to, because we have all this. So I'm not just trying to get more bottles. So anyway, now that we've done the disclosure, let's talk a little bit about this distillery. So I mentioned in the opening that they were the first legal distillery in Mississippi post-prohibition. And when they first came to Texas, I had the opportunity to interview their master distiller, Philip Ladner, and he actually came here to the house, and we had a really interesting interchange. I had just met Eddie Russell from Wild Turkey / Russell's Reserve, and Eddie heard me say that I tasted banana in one of the whiskey samples.
I remember
and I shared it with Philip, and I told him that I also sometimes get a little bit of banana on some of his products. And so he signed this bottle for me. You guys have been seeing this bottle in the background for years.
Oh, gosh.
But I told him that Eddie didn't seem too happy that I tasted bananas. So he wrote, Randy, cheers, F your bananas. And this is one of my favorite signed bottles that's in the undrinkable shelf. Just because it was such a great experience and he was such an approachable guy. So I've always kind of had a soft spot in my heart for them. Because of that relationship, we got the opportunity to do a single barrel for Someone Say Whiskey. Do you remember a year or two ago when there was that person that was doing our tater stickers for us and we found out that they were stealing art?
Oh, yeah.
That was this distillery. So we had
nightmare.
a member in the community that was doing what we call tater stickers, where, it's whatever. We give away a free sticker that has something to do with the pick. And there are a handful of artists in the club that do it, and they get a free bottle for doing the artwork. And there was somebody that was doing a lot of our stickers, and Old Soul, being from Mississippi, she did this really awesome photo of who was it?
Was it Louis Armstrong?
No, it was a famous jazz musician. And anyway, we thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then somebody's like, "Hey, I've seen that before." And as it turned out, she had been stealing the art.
Well, we don't know had been. She did steal this
particular
art.
There were other things that she had stolen too. Claimed that it was an original. The real artist found out, called the distillery, it's Cathead Distillery, threatened to file a lawsuit against them because they thought that the distillery had commissioned this sticker, which they hadn't. So then the distillery is upset at us, and I called him and I said, "I'll take care of it." And so we ended up getting everything worked out. And once the artist figured out what was going on, he actually offered to start doing some stickers for us, which never came to fruition. But we did ended up working it out. Yeah. And then that person deleted herself from planet Earth. You can't find her now. We researched afterwards. She was being sued by her family for some fraud and all kinds of stuff. And we had no idea. So long history with the distillery. The distillery itself is actually called Cathead Distillery. And so they're kind of interesting because they do make some of their own whiskey.
Okay.
And so some of these bottles over here, the small batch bottles, it's a blend of MGP's whiskey and their own distillate. But the bottles that we're going to try today, the single barrels, are all MGP. And I did confirm that with the distillery. I'd heard that as a rumor, but I didn't know for sure it was true. Now, the interesting thing about their small batches is if you read the back label, it very clearly says that it's a blend of straight bourbon whiskey from Indiana and from Mississippi.
Okay.
And it says produced and bottled by on the ones that have their own liquid in it. Doesn't say distilled and bottled by. It says produced and bottled by.
Okay.
And then the single barrels just say distilled in Indiana. And so I think that the more technical, accurate label for their small batch would actually be blend of straight bourbon whiskey. But as it stands, it just says straight bourbon whiskey. But when you mix two states, I think you're supposed to switch over to the blend of straight bourbon category. But labels get approved all the time, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong about that TTB requirement. But little interesting tidbit. Now, what we're going to try here today are two versions of their single barrel straight bourbon whiskey. And so one of them is a 6.4 year age stated.
Okay.
And the other one is a non-age stated product. The reason why there's two is because they have two versions of single barrel. One is 109 proof.
Okay.
And then the other just is barrel proof. And
yeah.
What was this barrel proof version? What was the proof on this one?
119, I think. 119.2.
Yeah. And you helped me look up the prices on these. What were the prices for these two? The lower proof one, the 109, how much was it?
This one is around $78.99. Mm-hmm. And this one was around $86.99.
Yeah, and that's our local total wine pricing.
Yeah.
I know you guys have different prices across the country. It has to do with excise tax, cost of shipping, which are called laid-in cost. It has to do with different, margin standards in those areas. And we have a lot of competition from very large retail chains here in North Texas. They fight each other on price, and so we have really good prices here. So don't get mad when our prices are lower than what you pay locally. Both these bottles are what size?
750.
750 mLs. So as you know, they have changed the rules so you can have different sizes, but they're still on a 750. And what do you say we taste these bad boys up?
Let's do it.
All right, so you already got some whiskey in your glass.
I poured a little splashy poo.
Let's start with the lower proof one first, so we don't blow our palate out. We decided to get out the aroma kit. For those of you who don't know, Lindsey helped me to curate this American Whiskey Aroma Kit.
And if you order it online, it's much prettier than what we have.
This is mine. I've had it for years. It's seen some damage.
Run it through the ringer.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. That's all right.
The new batch that we have coming in, we asked them to change out the latches to be a little sturdier, so they're going to be even prettier.
But we improve every order.
Every time.
Yeah. All right. So both of these whiskeys are actually the same barrel source. It's the same mash bill. I suspect they're similar in age, and so they should have similar tasting notes. Although the higher proof one, some of the tasting notes stick out a little more than the others.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are you getting on this one?
Well, I feel like it's overwhelmingly toffee-ish.
Yeah.
And that took us a minute because we were like, is this butterscotch? Is it vanilla? Is it, but it's very toffee-y.
It's funny because when you use the kit, butterscotch, caramel, and toffee are all caramelized sugar flavors.
Yeah.
So they're similar, but you really have to have them side by side to notice the nuance. Mm-hmm. And this is very strong toffee. Mm-hmm. In fact, most of the flavors in both of these whiskey are darker, sweeter flavors. Mm-hmm. And so I also get a little bit of chocolate on this one.
Which normally when you say that about whiskey, I'm like, that's weird. But I once we got the chocolate out and I smelled it side by side. And the chocolate in our kit,
it's a sweeter chocolate.
It's like an artificial, chocolate smell, I feel like.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what...
I just picked up not chocolate. That can jar the senses. Yeah, so the chocolate that's in our kit is we mimicked the way that flavor comes across in bourbon because it's not exact, And this more is like a Tootsie Roll chocolate. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
So low chocolate.
Like the scratch and sniff chocolate stickers.
Yeah, I got a little bit of honey on this one as well.
You pulled out the fig And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because fig is not something I would pick up off the top of my head, just smelling it. But when you smell them side by side, which this is going to be really good for me because I'm not as good at picking out the flavors as he is.
It's fig for sure.
I can be like, this smells like my grandma's basement, and no one else knows what that smells like, right? But I'm trying to use the kit more to identify.
Generally speaking,
flavors.
if the fruit note in a whiskey is like a dirty fruit, which is a weird thing to say, it's probably fig or banana. And there's a little bit of banana in this as well. This is a very complex whiskey.
Yeah. I like the fig a lot.
I'm also getting some leather on this one, which, normally I don't get leather until it's in those higher ages. But
it's spicy too.
It's a high rye mash bill. Okay. So, it's not the high rye mash bill. It's 21% rye, but 21% is still pretty high for most whiskeys. And so, are you getting any notes that are kind of associated with rye on this one?
It's heavy clove to me, which I know some people say ryes can be very dilly, and I thought that at first, but after kind of sniffing around some of the other scents, I feel like what we've listed so far is more on point than...
Yeah. So I'd say like fig, banana, leather, clove, chocolate, toffee, vanilla, honey. Those are the tasting notes. It's a very sweet whiskey. How would you rate it on a scale of 0 to 100? Really 70, 100.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything below 70.
I'm not good at this game. Whiskey for me is usually pass fail. Would I drink this again? Would I not? But I find it very drinkable. There's not a lot of flavors in here that are yucky to me. So I'd put this in the 90s probably.
90s?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go high 80s on this. I'm like at 88, probably 89. For both of them. The proof is slightly different on the higher proof version. But
I do like the higher proof. I like high proof whiskey. So
yeah, the 109's doing me just fine.
Yeah,
a lot of times, in between that 100 and 115 range, it's got enough robustness of flavor. I think if I did a single barrel selection again of this, then I would probably do it at barrel proof and allow people to add water that wanted it. But yeah. So would you rate it a buy or a pass at $78.99/$86.99?
I feel like that's a good price.
It's a good price, especially for a single barrel selection. It's a unique expression. Getting the opportunity to pick those barrels, I think this is a good opportunity. Speaking of picking barrels, we are in talks with them to take a group to the distillery to do a single barrel selection through Patreon.
That'd be fun.
And so we haven't been to Mississippi yet, so I thought that would be a really cool little adventure that we could go on.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know about how we do our Patreon, we usually take 3 or 4 trips per year where we go take over the distillery, pick a barrel, and private tours and eat good food and hang out together. And sometimes we go on little adventures too. So we've been talking with Cathead Distillery about that. But we do a giveaway on every episode. And so what should we give away this time? I was thinking some of everything we have.
Yeah, we need all of the things.
All right. So let's have, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different versions. Let's have 3 winners. Yeah, so let's talk about what you're getting, because some of this is weird.
I didn't even know what this was.
So one of these two, and I can't remember which is which, was the first release that had their own liquid in it. Okay. And somebody, I think their brand rep gave us a bottle of the first release that had their own liquid in it. And then this is a single barrel selection that we did with Someone Say Whiskey. Not the one that caused the problems, but I think the one after, because we've done more than one. So you'll get an ounce of the oldest small batch that has their liquid in it, a newer version of the small batch that has their liquid in it, my Someone Say Whiskey single barrel that we did last, the single barrel proof that they sent us for this review, the single barrel 109 proof that they sent us, And this is actually very special. So this bottle was given to me by Philip Ladner. And gosh, it must have been close to 5 years ago when I got this. This was the first ever distillery exclusive release that they ever released.
Oh, wow.
And so first distillery exclusive release right here, you'll get a sample of that. And then they have this, I said they had a lot of products. So they have vodka, they have gins, they have all kinds of stuff. But they have this liquor that's made from chicory. And it is, it's interesting. You're going to want to make cocktails out of it. Yeah, it's in the direction of like a hazelnut with like a raspberry flavor or something. It's like a berry flavor, then coffee and chocolate. It feels
like, you know, that like a time warp, when you smell something and like you see it in the movies and like, and I can't
figure out where it's taking you. But it's a childhood memory.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, so it's in the direction of a like cordial,
kind of raisiny.
Yeah, a little bit of raisiny. Yeah. So you'll get a sample of that just because it's weird and fun. And all you have to do to enter to win is to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and the most important thing though is you need to fill out the link in the video description below.
We can't send you anything if we don't know who you are.
We will run a randomizer, post the results publicly, reach out to the winner, get your address, and mail you your samples absolutely for free.
And then you have to believe that Chrissy is Chrissy and that she wants to send you.
Yeah, she does want to send you 3 things. Yeah, Chrissy Lynn works for us.
There's still a box downstairs that's 6 months old, at least. And we
got to give it to someone else though.
Never got it to the guy.
Yeah, sometimes people are afraid to give us their address to get their free stuff, you know. So tell the people how they can support us.
Well, we've got lots of things. We've got a Patreon. Mm-hmm. We've got 6 different levels for all different budgets, which is really important to us because we wanted to make everything accessible and affordable.
Sure.
But we've got distillery takeovers, discounts on merch. I always go blank because there's so many things.
Yeah, we do monthly virtual bottle shares where we hang out, and we release single barrels from time to time. We have a 1792 full proof coming out. We have a unallocated cigar blend bourbon coming out. Pretty excited about that. So we've got single barrels and things like that. And so far, no one that's in the Patreon group that wanted a bottle hasn't been able to get one. Even though the different tiers have different access, so far everybody's been able to get one. Of course, one day it'll happen, but as it stands now. And so there's just a lot of great stuff going on. Plus, you're supporting a channel that hopefully you identify with our vision and mission. Yeah. And so another way that you can support is by going to the website and checking out all the wonderful merch that Lindsey has sourced. Yeah. She also built the website.
Created. Yeah. I mean, don't judge me. I'm an esthetician, not a coder. So.
But we make stuff like this, like these glasses are designed for high proof spirits. This is aroma designed to help you develop your palate. We've got bottle carrying bags and all kinds of great things that you need as a whiskey lover.
Super comfy t-shirts.
Super comfy t-shirts, yeah. And then last but not least, you can support the channel by thinking of us whenever you need residential real estate services in the Houston or Dallas metro areas.
I like it when you say us.
That's nice. We are a team because she does the transaction paperwork. Yeah. And so we operate in Houston and Dallas areas, and we do give epic whiskey bottles as closing gifts. That is true. So
if we find you through whiskey, you get whiskey.
Not a reason to hire us, but it's it adds to the equation. So, and you can find information about all 3 ways to support the channel below in the video description. There's links to all of the appropriate websites. And if this is your first time tuning into the channel, we'd like to tell you a little bit about our show philosophy. So we lost my younger brother to suicide, and we kind of struggled to figure out a way to give back and how could we help others that might be facing those types of dark times. And we started to see how whiskey seemed to bring people together and help to create the kinds of social connections that my brother had started to lose in his personal life. And I had the thought, maybe if I can get you connected to whiskey, whiskey will do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. And so we started this podcast. We ended up starting Bourbon Real Talk Community, which is a free Facebook-based whiskey enthusiast forum. You can go join right now. And we don't allow any negativity in there. And that was really important to us because we did see a lot of negativity in other forums that prevented the kinds of connections that we were hoping to form. And so we decided, we're going to keep that out of our own community. But those individuals taught us something else, and that is that if they can hate strangers online, there's nothing that keeps us from loving strangers online. And that's why we end every episode the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. And we'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers.
I don't feel very funny yet.
Well, we didn't drink very much. I'll just say something to piss you off. It always works. That's when the funny comes out. I'll just say some stuff and then you'll get real funny. We'll have outtakes, bro. It's going to be good. Right in the shot.
Right where we need it.
Right where we need it.
I'm really upset that there's an oil stain on there.
It's not oil. It got bleached by the whiskey because we drink whiskey.
Well, generally when you're drinking whiskey, the box is open. When you're drinking whiskey with the box closed. Someone didn't silence his phone.
Got to silence the phone. And it was spam. It really sucks when you screw up a recording for spam.